we can escape very easily with alcohol and drugs or like all of those, right? But you're left the next day with the same feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And you can spend a year with that same feeling because you do the mini escapes every weekend, or you can spend 6 weeks with extreme pain, feeling whatever you need to feel, knowing that after that sixth week, you're way better. And you don't have to spend any time of the rest of the year feeling the same symptoms that you felt in those first 6 weeks. So with eating disorder, with mental health, with anything, anxiety, depression, like I still struggle with anxiety and depression all the time, definitely. And during those times, it's just accepting it, not running away. Don't try to escape with something that you know is temporary. The more that you can let yourself work through it, the less that you're going to have to work through it tomorrow.
Hello, and welcome back to the Eat to Grow podcast. This is your host, Kelly Igo, and co-host, Kate. And today we have a very special guest, Danielle Kusenberger, who is a head coach on Together More Fitness. She is an NPC bikini competitor and so much more than that. And we're going to unpack all of that with you guys today. And we're going to dive into all things bodybuilding, fitness, relationship with food, relationship with body image, and so much more. So very excited to have you on here, Dee. How are we doing today?
Well, thank you first of all for having me. I adore each of you. I'm super excited that y'all are creating this podcast and space just for everyone to learn from y'all, because there is so much knowledge in both of your brains, but just to also just feel connected. So I appreciate you having me, and I'm super excited to chat with you on the podcast. My day is going amazing. I think that's what you asked.
Yeah, it's Friday. The vibes are high.
Yeah, when I get to see your faces, I'm great. It's a good day.
I love it. I freaking adore you so much. So, Dee, like, I feel like I know so much about you, but in many ways, there are so many things I want to learn. And I feel like our listeners want to learn more about you too, outside of the fitness space. So let's take it back. Where did you grow up?
Take it back. San Antonio, which is not that far. I should probably diversify myself and like go out and explore. I live in Austin right now, so I've been living near or in Austin for 4 years, and San Antonio for what? How old am I? I'm 22. So every year before that. Yeah, vastly different. Austin's just it's unique. I mean, it's just like everyone comes here either to travel from different places or live here. So you never know. Everyone has a passion. Everyone has something they're trying to achieve, something they're trying to chase, whether it's themselves, their goals. So that's why I love living here. But I need to get out at some point.
I hear that. No, I love that.
You can always come to Boston.
Well, yeah.
That's on the plan.
That's on our plan.
Right.
Guys, that'll be so fun. Yeah. I can't wait. No, it's so fun. That'll be so fun to show you around. So Austin, you love it there. You've been there for a hot minute. Is it like, I'm assuming the answer to this, but like, is San Antonio like very Texas-y vibes, and then Austin's kind of not Texas-y vibes? It's its own thing. I feel.
That's interesting.
So San Antonio, so where I grew up, there's San Antonio. There's like the middle San Antonio, which is more Mexican.
Sure. Okay.
Hispanic. And then there's like, it expands just like every city, like you go out. I was in a part of San Antonio where if I was one neighborhood over, I'd be going to school more in San Antonio. I went to school on the outside of San Antonio.
Gotcha. Okay.
So where I went to school and where I grew up was more so like hill country, like horses, cows, like cows, pigs, and and so it's just super different than what most people would expect. Yeah. I would say yes to answer your question. It's very like I said, hill country, cowboy hats, all of that. Yeah. But I kind of was in the middle of whatever. So if I wanted to go there, I like to that area, I could. If I wanted to go to more Hispanic culture, I could.
Cool. That's really awesome. You kind of get like best of both worlds. And like, honestly, like my dream now is like to own a farm. Like I just want to live.
Yeah, right.
And
it's almost like the dichotomy of like everything. You get what you just said, best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's great. That's super.
If you're feeling one thing, you go there. Feeling another thing, you go there. Like
yeah. I like my family on my dad's side's very hunting, like fishing, doing the whole nine.
Fishing.
Yeah. But I have never done that. Yeah, I don't see it. At this point, because of my love for animals and just honestly golden retrievers, I just
We're
can't.
all like, no, we
Yeah.
never, no, I get like some people grow up like that's like a tradition in their family, like whatever, especially if like you're eating what you catch. I think that's
I can't.
more okay. But same, like the whole hunting thing. No, I couldn't. I feel about fishing. We went on vacation once and I freaking hooked a fish in the eyeball. That like is unheard of. And I was like, never fished before. And so after that, I was like, I'm never fishing again. I feel like such a jerk. And so that was my experience. So like I don't fish, I don't hunt, nothing. So I relate to that.
When I used to, well, my dad fishes all the time. That's his escape. Which is a healthy escape compared to like some other things that we but I used to go with him and all I would do is eat Pop-Tarts in the boat. Like that's all I would
love it. Oh my God. What was your Pop-Tart go-to?
Man, you're gonna think I'm weird. As a kid, I was weird. I didn't like chocolate. I didn't like fries. I'm an only child, so like I would get the unfrosted Pop-Tarts.
Wow.
What a psychopath.
Wow.
I know.
He is a literal serial killer. No, please tell me you have expanded your palate at this point with Okay, what's your favorite now?
Brown cinnamon. I think about it nightly.
That's it. That's a good one. That's a good one.
That is funny.
What's yours?
I think for me, what is it, like the hot fudge sundae?
Wait a second.
Yeah,
I haven't even that far. I need to diversify. Like I'm
gonna bring a pack of them when we come to
the apple cinnamon ones, and also bring the Eggo.
All right, let's do a Pop-Tart tasting test. We'll do it real and
for YouTube, part of the podcast. Sponsor us.
Cool. Let's do it.
Literally Pop-Tart sponsor.
Let's go. I love it. So cute. Awesome. So you're loving Austin. Now, with Austin, Texas, do you feel like you want to stay there forever? Like it's your forever home? Do you want to explore other areas of the country or other areas of Texas? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I definitely want to explore. I think it's very, it's needed for anyone. I think just to find out where you want to live, who you are, the other people, understanding other humans, especially outside of Texas. On the list, I feel like since I'm not competing this year, I'm definitely traveling more for myself. I used to travel just to do preps, and it would be like Nashville. Well, I never went to Nashville, but for a competition, but that was an example. And then you would just stay and you would do your competition, eat a meal and go home. So you didn't really get to explore. So yeah, I would say I could definitely see myself living in Austin forever. But in order to do that, I would want to explore the entire, entire world as much as I can, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I get that totally. And I think too, like Austin is very cool. Like you're in a big city and you're, finding yourself there in many ways, which is really cool. But I think it's awesome that you're going to explore other options and maybe we can convince you to just move here with us and we can all hang out all the time.
I'm hopping in, guys. Bye, Texas.
Yes. Bye. Bye. Yeah. I love that. Very, very cool. So I think where you had mentioned, growing up in San Antonio, did you ever go to college?
No. So I did half a semester online. So I'm going to give a lot of info in this answer.
That's okay.
So I am 22 and I was thinking about this earlier. This is like, I'm not embarrassed, but it's funny to think about. 4 years ago, I was in high school.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like there is no way you're telling me that, which is insane. So in high school, first 2 years, I was in a toxic situationship, like most high school individuals, I would say. My freshman year, and then our friends were all mutual, and he graduated, left, moved away without really saying goodbye at all, just ghosted me. So that after a year and a half, really 17 or however age I was like 15, going through heartbreak to whatever extent that a 15-year-old could feel. And so that threw me into a depression loop. And so my last 2 years of high school, I ate lunch by myself every day outside. And so, yeah. And I know that sounds so sad, but honestly, like I've said this a million times, at that point in my life, that was the happiest I've ever been, was just literally eating by myself and like doing everything by myself. Of course I was depressed and like I wasn't eating the right things. I was making my way to eating disorder very fast. But it's funny how you can, on the outside, someone can be like, pointing fingers of, wow, she's lost so much weight. She does not look healthy. She's doesn't have any friends. And on the outside, it looks like someone's suffering so much. And in ways, like eating a disorder is definitely not healthy, but it was also the happiest I've ever been at that point because I was not tied to anything toxic except for me being me. So last 2 years of school was in that funk. I ended up graduating early. I walked the stage with everyone, but I did my last semester of high school online. So I was just at home.
Okay.
College, half a semester online, knew it wasn't for me. And that's when like I moved to Austin during that time, and I was at home, just doing my semester, knowing that I didn't want to be here. Like I knew I wasn't learning what I wanted to learn. And I think school, any type of school, any type of mentorship program, I think college is amazing. It just wasn't for me at that time. And my whole mom's side of the family is very college school. Like that's what you do. Like you go, and they're very successful, like very smart individuals, book smart. I mean, they're street smart as well, but very book smart.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm smart. I'm just was never the book smart. And I guess I could have given more effort into the book smart type of deal. But I think, when something's not for you, it's hard to give effort. And so that's what I found myself. So half a semester of college, and then I started doing mentorships that were college.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us, Dee. I think a lot of people, they try college because we're told like that's the next step after high school, like for so many people, right? And I went to a technical high school. So I was actually going to be like, I wanted to be a hairdresser. I was a licensed cosmetologist. So I was like, I'm going to just go work and do hair in like this really great salon and be happy and thrive. But then I started falling in love with nutrition and training. And I was like, oh, I kind of might want to try to do something like with college with that and like see how that works out. And for me, like, luckily everything fell into place, but I always struggled as a student. And I think there were many times where I just didn't apply myself because I didn't care about the coursework. Like I hate math. Like it was so hard for me to like focus on stupid shit like that. So like, if I don't care for it, it's hard for me to put in effort, to your point. And I know for Kate, you felt very similar, like when you were making the decision for college.
Yeah.
So
I went through a phase when I was like 16, 17. I talked about this on the first podcast, I think, but I didn't want to go to school. I wasn't hanging out with the right people.
Yeah.
I was drinking, smoking so much at like, you're 16, like that's gonna do something to your head. That's gonna fuck you up almost.
Yeah.
So in that stage, I recovered from the eating disorder, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I need to change my life around.
Yeah.
I need to turn this around. And that was it. And I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to either be a hairdresser like Kelly, or I didn't want to do anything. I was just gonna like figure it out by myself.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's awesome that you found what you wanted to do so young, though, because we are blessed and lucky to say, I mean, Kelly is very smart. She's been doing so much school for all of my entire life. So, literally, yeah. I woke up, I came out of the womb, and Kelly's like, I'm doing my thing. Yeah. Yeah. But it's awesome. Like we are grateful for each of us to know exactly kind of the direction that we wanted to take. Even if it wasn't exactly what we wanted to do, we knew we didn't want to do this.
Yeah.
So in that part, I'm grateful that we all had the head on our shoulders to say, like, I don't know what we want to do, but I know it's not this, whatever that is. Yeah.
It's like the angel and the devil on the side, and you pick the angel side. It's like, this is the direction that you were supposed to go in.
Absolutely.
Actually, when I was knowing that I was going to drop out of college after one long semester, I wrote a long email to my parents, and I was like, look, this is what's happening. I still have it. I think that's so funny because, like, man, you just like, I did not know how to tell my family, like, hey, this isn't what I'm gonna do, and I'm the only person in our entire tree that has to this point dropped out of any type of school, but I'm gonna be the one to do it. Yeah.
I think that's it. Number one is scary to make that decision because you're like, oh gosh, like what are my parents going to think? What are people going to think about this? And again, like society pushes it so hard. Like college is the next step for every person. And like it's so not the case. And I'm so glad you found that out one semester in because number one, you didn't waste any more of your precious life like doing school that you didn't want to do. And save yourself from some debt, I'm sure, as well. And I feel like you become so successful at such a young age. I don't want to share numbers and things. That's totally your business to, share if you want to. But you become extremely successful in the online coaching space without that traditional college level education. And I think that's a really inspiring thing for people to see because college isn't for every person, but you might love like personal training and like you don't need to go to college to be a personal trainer or even an online coach. I think there should be some level of education, which you've received. You've gone through multiple mentorships. What mentorships have you taken, if you feel comfortable sharing?
Oh, absolutely. Number one, so I joined J3. Well, first of all, thank you for saying all that. I really appreciate. You're a role model in my life, so I'm blessed that I get to look up to someone like you who's showing me the way as well. So thank you. Yeah, y'all's eyes. That was cute.
Stop it. You guys are
No,
the
serious. Yeah, on the list of role models in my life, you're definitely one of the top. Yeah, but I did J3 University as my first mentorship, which I think is great for anyone who wants to learn. I think it's a great intro. J3 University, and then I hired Justin. I hired Justin
Okay.
before I moved out of my parents' home.
Okay.
So is it too loud?
No, you're
Okay.
good. But if you want to move, go ahead.
I don't know if it's too loud on y'all's end.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, we can edit that out too if needed.
That's fine.
But yeah, so at J3 University, and then I was working with Justin Mahaley. So when I think any of us, if we know we're passionate about health fitness, you're kind of curious on why the protocols are what they are. So, I still have the notebook. I have this thick notebook, and every check-in, the protocol change, I would rewrite it. I should, oh man, I have it in my house. Should find that and like post a little picture of it because every check-in is in there. And I don't know why I did that because I have it on my phone, like the store. I would just
writing things down. Look at my notebook. I have my notebook right here. I need to write every single thing down for me to remember it.
Yeah. It's a dedication. So going through that, seeing your body change, just understanding and diving in on that kind of teaches you what's happening. Justin's mentorship as well. During this time, I just YouTube, to be honest. Like there's so much, who is you can find out who is a person that's very good in their education and knows what they're talking about just through paying attention to the individual on social media for a long period of time. So just going like Alex Bush, Justin Mahaley, like I said, Matt Jansen, just understanding and seeing when they post protocols or changes, kind of reading it, but also applying it. I did a lot of that. During this time this wasn't for coaching, this was for business growth. So when I was when I was still in high school, that last semester of high school that I was doing online, I was also trying to make my own coaching business. So I was coaching high school people, which was like two guys in my class that wanted me to coach them, and it was
So did they like come up to you and were like, "Can you coach me, please?"
Yeah, well, I went from like 128 in high school to 96 pounds.
Oh yeah.
So they definitely saw like, oh, she's gonna lean. And although that's not healthy, some people
they saw that weight change and said, okay.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing.
Not and I posted, you're in the gym 24/7 every day. So it's like you're consistent. A lot of people just want that consistency. They don't care. It's just like for anyone, it's like I more so want the desire of knowing how to be consistent more so than the goal. Because if you can stay consistent, you can achieve a goal. But I was coaching those individuals and just seeing their body change as well. Like every athlete that you have is mostly an experiment until you get to the point where you actually kind of know what you're doing. But when you're in the beginning stages, a lot of it's just experiment. Or any athlete where you're like, I've never dealt with a case like this. I am not qualified, but I don't have experience on this exact case. It's all learning. So that was a big thing. The experience was a big mentorship, I could say. But just like there's so much you can learn online.
Yeah, there really is.
Absolutely.
There is so much now. And I feel like that's a really great thing for people, again, that don't feel college is the next step for them. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that because I think that's going to be important for a lot of people.
Yeah. I did do IFCA, which is Aaron and Jordan Duggar's business coaching. And I did that for, I think it might have been 12 to 18 weeks. Might have, yeah. And that was super helpful, but that was just for understanding business side of things, but not so much coaching.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would always recommend for anyone, like any type of business mentorship, everyone in your life is a mentor, in my opinion. Like if you're, even if it's just a friend, like there's things, aspects of them. Well, I look at them as a mentor in some ways, whether it's maybe not towards coaching, but relationships or communication. So it's just like who do you want in your circle? And that's who you're going to learn from.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. Absolutely. With the business coaching side of things, do you feel like that really helped you to start growing your business? Because I know you were doing online coaching before you joined TM as a coach. And do you feel like that mentorship that you received was really helpful in growing your own social media? And if so, what strategies do you feel you could share with the listeners that may also be looking to grow their socials or start a business that would be helpful? Kind of like your top 3.
Yeah. So I would say the first thing that everyone, no matter if you're new or how far you're deep in a business, you're going to try to always fight for the likes, because anyone new to business thinks, oh, the more likes and followers, the better I'm going to be. Right. And that's the opposite. I think it's important as people who are successful to really share and educate others that just because someone has a lot of likes and followers does not mean that they are stacking cash and getting clients, because it, from my experiences, definitely vice versa. I actually, this is kind of going off topic, but I lost 25K followers this year, actually a little bit over that, just because I started posting as a coach. And a lot of, like, I don't get likes like I used to, but that's not where my clientele went up like 50 people. So anyone who's starting wanting to coach, here's a few things that there's, why do people, number one, want to follow you? And why do they want to hire you? So you have to present yourself with authority as a coach. If you want to, whether it's a coaching, mentorship, whatever it is, what are you doing? What service are you providing? Why would they hire you? Would you hire yourself? Who would you hire? Asking yourself these questions. I think it's important to know your audience who you want to attract, like your ideal client, but it's not posting just for them, like attracting that person. It's, do you have the authority to put yourself in a place where people want to actually learn from you and trust you? Whether they're going to hire you or not, can they trust you? So on an online space, it's harder to do that, because when you're talking to someone via Zoom or face to face, you can change your person. Like, I'm a bubbly person, I'm a shy person. Like I can make myself seem like I'm 22, right? But not a lot of people want to hire a 22-year-old if they don't have authority. So when I'm talking to someone, I need to make sure that they know that I know what I'm doing and I'm in charge of their goals or whatever it is, right? So demanding authority through an online space by providing education of value. Um, I think those are the two biggest things, is education and value, because no one's going to hire you if they know that you don't know what you're doing. They don't have education. You don't have value. You don't have to, I didn't go to school, right? You don't have to go to school to have that education piece, but you do have to have some sort of education. And I think the biggest thing isn't just for knowing that the person will ask you, or it's more so for your self-belief. So if you're someone new to the space too, if you don't have self-belief because you don't feel like you know what you're doing, well, what's going to create that self-belief? Experience, number one. So getting people under your belt so you can learn, but also educating yourself. Um, Along with that is relatability online. So that's going to take you really far, especially if someone is trying to fight for likes and following, but it's that trust. The value and education is very important, but if you don't have relatability, if people don't know who you are, they're not going to trust you, right? People hire people because they feel like they can connect to them, whether it's connect to them now or connect to them in the past. So for example, I do get young individuals, because I am young. I get individuals who have past eating disorders, because I have a past eating disorder. I get individuals who want to do what I do because I'm doing it right. I don't get a man who wants to be a bodybuilder on stage. So it's just being realistic of who you're wanting to attract and who you are going to attract, the education of value, sharing that, and being relatable. Like we've discussed many times, when relatability isn't like only posting your fitness and your physique. People, that's not relatability, right? Relatability is like, what do you like to do besides fitness? Like, I like to shuffle, I like to dance, I'm going to share that. I like food, I'm going to share that. I like to get dressed because it makes me feel good and helps my mental health. Like, so sharing that side of you that no one knows about, so they feel like they understand you as a human, that's going to attract you people that you want to work with, but also that's going to make you feel a lot more accepted on an online space. Because even with the podcast, a lot of the girlier podcasts that aren't based on education, but more so based on like just drama or exes or the tea, I think, in my opinion, a lot of females like to listen to that more so because they feel accepted with other females. And that's relatability. It's not because they're going there to learn something. They're just going there because they feel like they're a part of the friend group. And that's sometimes what's missing on coaches who are very smart. And they're like, I'm not attracting anyone. Well, people can't relate to you and they don't feel like they're really accepted with you. So they're going to choose a coach that they know can still change their physique, can still achieve their health, but also can have that vibe or connection with, or know that they can go to them for something that's like maybe more life and not like a life problem.
Yeah, like a personal thing, instead of only having to do fitness and all these things.
Yeah.
That was very well said. Thank you.
Yeah, that was great.
Awesome.
I think you just gave like a little business class 101 right there. That was awesome. And we have these conversations regularly, like with our staff. So like I've been very lucky to learn from Danielle in many ways already. And I've definitely seen benefit from everything that she's taught me. And a lot of what she just said, I've put into practice for my own socials and my own business growth. And it's been a game changer. Absolutely. And we're definitely seeing that transfer to all of our staff as well, which is really exciting. So thank you for sharing your words of wisdom with us, Dee. I really appreciate that. So I know that you talked a little bit about your previous eating disorder, and I would really like to open up the space for listeners to learn more about what maybe contributed to your eating disorder development and how you overcame it, and kind of unpack that a little bit. So if you feel comfortable sharing.
Absolutely. Thank you. There's everything in the world you can ask me. Eating disorders, like I said, depression kind of got me into that, but it wasn't, well, for anyone who has an eating disorder, I think it is something that's a little bit more mentally toxic or taxing, that kind of leads you to doing something like an eating disorder, or having that skewed relationship with food. For me, it was the depression, but I felt more control, of sense of like it is a coping mechanism. I can control myself to not eat things that I perceive as bad. It's obsession with food, it's obsession with your body, it's obsession with all coping. Like now right now it's good, but last year, after every prep, I struggle with binge eating. And like I've done 13 shows. Every single time I struggle with binge eating. And it's not necessarily binge eating on like Dairy Queen, right? I binge eat on healthy food. And that's, I think, a lot of people, especially a lot of people with an eating disorder, know that they can get away with 100-calorie pint of ice cream, right? But when you have 7 of those every night, like it's not what's with an eating disorder. Like when I'm a coach now, I don't think about, oh, this is affecting your physique. I think about your mental health. The goal is like, if you are eating something like a 100-calorie pint of ice cream, it should do nothing to your brain in terms of, you shouldn't think of bad or good, or be mad at yourself or anything like that. And so for me, when I was going through that, my value was in the food. If I ate something bad or smelled something bad, it was to the point, I will never forget this. My mom, I have 2 stories on this.
Yeah.
My mom loves Cheerios, Honey Nut Cheerios. And when I would smell them, I thought like I was mad at myself for smelling the bad food. And it was just like, you didn't even ingest it. Like you didn't even eat it. And so that was one peak. There was a time when she was taking my picture after a haircut and she started crying. And I asked her, like, why are you crying? And it was, I need to find that picture. But it was because she was just sad. She was like, you're so sick. My ex-boyfriend, well, the situationship, he texted me one day and he was like, you just look so like sick. Like there was, and like, that, you're sick, but you don't,
You don't see
I think,
yourself that way.
yeah.
You,
And I don't,
everyone else can see it, but you can't. You physically look in the mirror and you're like, I don't look sick,
yeah,
but you know you are in the back of your
yeah.
head.
And it's also, again, it's like, you don't care about the physique as much as I think some people think. Like, in my opinion, like I did focus on the physique being lean, but it's all my mental. The value was in if I ate the food or not what I looked like. And so the food was the coping mechanism. The physique was the result of it. And so, like with the binge eating now, well, right now it's good. It's been good since I haven't competed in my last show. But I remember anytime that I'm going through anything mental, any mental challenges, I used to turn directly to food. And so I would sit in my car and I would just eat ice cream, that was like healthier. And there was a point where I was like, okay, this, like, it's been like 4 years, this has to stop. Like, and it's not for the physique. It's only because you don't respect yourself and value yourself every time you do this. And that's the biggest thing for me, was how can I learn to value myself and detach myself from food? And so it's figuring out for me at the end, my coping mechanism is food, no matter if that's an eating disorder, not eating, if that is binge eating. We need to change that to feeling dopamine from something else. I think understanding the science behind the coping mechanisms and the dopamine is going to be is super helpful. Was super helpful for me, but super helpful for anyone who is struggling. If like, why can't I get over it? Well, understanding that your mind is getting this release when you eat this thing, so it's more so like, how do you change up here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really appreciate your vulnerability, Dee. And I think you bring up a good point that your eating disorder wasn't necessarily stemming from body image related concerns. It was actually a coping mechanism for something completely separate from your body. And it had nothing to do with trying to change the way that you looked. I think a lot of people associate eating disorders with someone's unhappy in their body, so they're restricting food. Like that's the kind of blanket statement of eating disorder, what most people associate with. And what I really want to do with this podcast is bring awareness that there are so many other reasons people will have an eating disorder, and that an eating disorder sometimes isn't the primary diagnosis. It's a sign and symptom of something else. And when you're experiencing something like a really difficult situationship, toxic breakup, feeling depressed, feeling anxious, depression and anxiety are some of the most commonly associated coexisting mental illnesses with eating disorders. So if you're somebody that struggles with depression or anxiety, you're more likely to have an eating disorder, whether that be binge eating or anorexia, with whatever feels best for you from a control mechanism. And most of the time, they kind of go hand in hand. And it's usually not just one eating disorder that's present. And so it sounds like for you, the way in which you overcame that was empowering yourself through education of like, well, why am I binge eating? And why do I keep doing this? Also, another piece to that, finding other alternative coping mechanisms. So other ways you could feel good and get that dopamine response. What are some things that you do right now that you feel are helpful when you're going through a tough time and you might have that urge to lean into food to cope? What are some of your coping mechanisms?
Yeah. So I will, number one, say that I could not figure out the reason why until I was over it. Like, could not figure out the dopamine and the science behind it until I wouldn't say fully over it, but until I took the first step of saying, today I'm not going to do anything that's self-sabotaging towards how I view myself as a woman. And I think too, for individuals who, you just write down, like, who do you want to be? Like, how do you want to look at yourself? How do you want to value yourself? How do you want to speak to yourself? How do you want to carry yourself? In order to achieve these things, you have to value yourself as a human. And so everything that you do, the choices that you make, what you put in your body, good or bad, what you don't put in your body, in case of like you're skipping meals, XYZ, you're not eating all day, that all deters your mind of how you serve yourself, respect, and value yourself. And you can act like it doesn't, but it definitely to a T does. And so my coping mechanisms now, number one, which I need to do more often, is journaling. especially journaling in the times that you don't feel happy or positive. That's just write down your thoughts. Journaling can look so different. It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to figure out like a science behind anything. Just write down how you feel. I would say reading is a big escape. For me, the sun, like just getting out in the sun. There's never, for anyone, there isn't, you could still be in a bad mood, but you're going to feel 30% better if you like, if you're in the sun. Feeding my body a first meal of the day, which I recently like started enforcing more often. And not that I skipped breakfast, but I intentionally look forward to that meal because I know that I just feel like healthier because I served myself in a way of nutrients. Friendships, like don't not hang out with people that pull you down. Even if you don't have a reason of why they pull you down, if you don't feel good around them, don't hang out with them. I would definitely say paying attention to yourself more often in terms of treating yourself as a human and not just a body you're living in. And that goes mentally as well. Like if you wouldn't tell your friend XYZ, why would you tell yourself that? If you're mad at yourself because you're tired all the time, we'll fix that by going to bed earlier. If you don't want to go out on the weekends because you feel like crap and it puts you in a bad headspace, choose just this week to not go out. Don't worry about next week. Just focus on like what's here and what's right now. I think quality time with yourself as well can be very daunting, especially if you are going through anxious or just a lot of different changes in life. It can feel daunting because you're going to have to settle with a lot of the thoughts in your mind when you're alone. But step one to overcoming anything is being able to understand what's going on up here, I think. So taking that first step of just being alone in that moment, I think is the first step to spending quality time and ensuring that you get that throughout your week. So coping, I would say healthier mechanisms are the ones that are harder to do.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It's hard to put yourself in that mindset and be able to do that and have that confidence because every other coping mechanism is so easy to go to. And you gotta push for that harder coping mechanism. And it's just gonna help you in the long run.
Yeah. And I will say on top of that too, the escape. We can escape very easily with alcohol and drugs or like all of those, right? But you're left the next day with the same feeling. And you can spend a year with that same feeling because you do the mini escapes every weekend, or you can spend 6 weeks with extreme pain, feeling whatever you need to feel, knowing that after that sixth week, you're way better. And you don't have to spend any time of the rest of the year feeling the same type of feelings that you felt in those first 6 weeks. So with eating disorder, with mental health, with anything, anxiety, depression, like I can't speak for everyone. I don't have it as bad as some people, but I still struggle with anxiety and depression all the time. Definitely. And during those times, it's just accepting it, not running away. Don't try to escape with something that you know is temporary. The more that you can let yourself work through it, the less that you're going to have to work through it tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dee. I appreciate you sharing that. That's really helpful to hear. And I think you bring up a really good point about the coping mechanisms. It's much easier to go towards something that's unhealthy. That's the easier route. And doing the healthy thing is very hard. And it takes a lot of time and practice to get to that point. And I think even for myself, like I'll talk openly, like with anxiety, I definitely live with anxiety. I was definitely very depressed during my internship and master's degree experience, just because I was under so much stress and pressure all the time. And that burnout just like really got to me. And I know for myself, like I was utilizing way more THC than I needed to use at that time. And like, I'm very happy to say I'm in a very moderate place with that now. It's great. And it's like, it's amazing because it's like, well, number one, I'm happier. So like the big stressor in my life is gone, which I was hoping would really help. But I've also been able to kind of learn how to cope with stress a little bit better. And a lot of that comes to creating boundaries with like the stress in my life. So like with school, it's kind of hard because you have deadlines that you need to meet. But now I have control over my life to a greater degree. And it's like, well, with work, it's like, well, if I'm feeling really burnt out, like I need to stop work at 6 and like that's it for the day. Like we're not going to keep working. And like getting better with my boundaries boundaries to protect my own energy, because I feel for me, what really flares up my anxiety is if I feel totally stretched too thin for too long. And I feel like for a long time, I was like living like that. That was just like my life for the past 8 years. And it's like, you can only take that for so long. So then you start developing these unhealthy coping mechanisms, and it evolves. And so I appreciate you sharing that with me.
I will say on that too. Sorry, I did not need to interrupt,
Yeah.
but I will say with that goes back to the value of even in our life when we're adults, especially young adults, and we're kind of building ourselves up, right? Or honestly, I haven't lived in my 40s, but I bet it's the same way. You're always trying to get something better, whether that's like achieve a higher goal, or if you're trying to build a greater friendship, greater connection, or even if you're single and you're trying to date, you're trying to attract the partner that you want. But a lot of times we don't realize that how we're treating ourselves or serving ourselves and our bodies and our mind is not going to attract those things. So if you're someone who's trying to end a disorder with eating, or get in a better place within your mental health, whatever it is, attract a healthier relationship, you have to ask yourself, is this the body, the mind, the human that will attract these things and get to that place? And when you can separate what's the gap between those and take the steps to get there, that's when I think that's the route to success, overcoming any challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's really, really great advice. And I think with all of that to say, you've been able to overcome this eating disorder, this toxic relationship that you were dealing with in high school at a really young age, like working through your own mental health struggles and continuously living with those at times. I think we all have times in our life we feel more depressed and feel more anxious, and vice versa. And you've been able to really find what works for you to kind of cope. And I think that really transfers into a lot of your coaching style. And that's really, really special. And I think that that's kind of where personal experience can really fuel your impact in ways like those were like really negative things that you had to go through, but you have been able to reframe those negative experiences and now put it into a positive, because you're able to better connect with your clients. You're better able to assist your clients because of that personal experience that you had gone through. So I think it's really cool that you've been able to turn all of that negative into a huge positive, and really make a positive impact on people.
I appreciate that. I feel, and this is with anyone, but everyone's going through something. And the more human that you are, like in terms of more open, the more vulnerable, the more realistic with yourself of like, hey, like you're actually struggling and that's okay. The more you're able to connect with other people. And that's something too that's missing in the online spaces. Everyone, they like, yes, the highlight reel, but past like that is like what are you actually going through behind that screen? Because everyone's going through something. Like everyone is going through something as a human. And so it's just sharing that as well, being honest, being realistic, and just yourself. Um, it helps the individual on online space to relate to you, but past that, it helps you feel accepted and be able to relate to other humans. And as someone who's recently realized how important to me human connection is, and just in terms of like whether it's a friendship or saying hi to an acquaintance, that like that feels good. And I used to feel like, man, this was last year. I did not want to go out. I did not want to work anywhere. I did not want to I didn't want to see anyone. But I'm such a people's person. I would struggle with that all the time of like, how am I such a people's person, but I hope to see no one all day.
Right.
It's like this tug of war. But it's, for me, the biggest thing that's helped me overcome a lot of my depression, anxiety, whether it's still there, like just being in a better place, is just by being able to talk to other people about anything. It doesn't have to be about the topic you're struggling with. It's just talking, how's your day? How, like, do you like the coffee, XYZ? So I think that's a little off topic, but just, human connection, and just making sure that you are allowing yourself to feel heard and listened to by other people, even if it's about something that you're not directly struggling with.
Yeah. No. They say it all the time, like we're social animals. Like even if you're an introvert, like you still need that human connection in some way. Maybe you're better on Zoom because you don't need them in your personal space or whatever, but like having human connection, even if it's a text or a phone call, is so important.
Yeah. And I will say on that, I'm not, this is my opinion, and I hope I say it very, very well. I understand there's people that are very extroverted and introverted. I believe that any introvert truly wants to feel that human connection within feeling heard and seen. It's just the way that of gravitating that and being able to express that. I believe that from someone who used to be a very, very extroverted person, I always wanted to be a very, very introverted person. I always wanted to be extrovert, not to the point of like center of attention, because that's just not me, but to the point of being able to hold a conversation with anyone and feel accepted.
Absolutely.
So it's just practice. It's just like get out there. No, the world is only as scary as your mind lets you believe it is. And to me, from what I've found out, yeah, there's a lot of people out there that are going to treat you poorly or maybe look you up and down and be like, you don't make the cut. But that's not the people you want to be around. And there's so many people out there that will sit down with you no matter what you look like, how you like, what you bring to the table, like, and just accept you for who you are.
Absolutely. I also think that when I was younger, I was more introverted, I would say. Just like I would talk, but I was like a little teenage girl. Like, I'm not going to talk to you. Like, I don't really want to talk to you right now. Or like, if I see someone in a grocery store, I'm not going to go up to them. But now I think since I've grown and since I've like aged and I've grown into myself and all these things, that I will go up to someone in the grocery store and be like, hey, how you doing? That's just also like maturing in a way, but also like hanging around people that are also extroverted. And it's so great. I think we can all three of us are very extroverted. Let's just say that. So it's easy for us to go talk to someone, and it's easier for us to like go and have a conversation. But I definitely think people who are introverted can make that jump. And it's not like introverts and extroverts, it's not a full life thing.
Right.
It can be interchangeable. You can be introverted sometimes, you can be extroverted sometimes.
Yeah.
I haven't met one person who feels sad and is introverted that does not feel happier by making themselves go out and just sit in a coffee shop and talk to people for a week.
Yes. I feel like I'm like an introverted extrovert person. Like I need to recharge by myself. Like I will get really socially drained, but I love spending time with people when I am like in the moment, but like I need like the weekend off. Like I just like be by myself. And like I know that about myself and I've known that for a long time, but I think in the profession that we all work in, like a big part of our job is like just being able to talk to people and feeling comfortable with that. So it's like if all three of us maybe have this introverted background and we can, basically have our own businesses running, like, and do that thing, you can definitely like overcome that. And I think being able to connect with other people is a great way to work through your depression and anxiety, being able to have healthy coping mechanisms like journaling, which is a great way to just kind of get your thoughts out if you don't feel comfortable talking to somebody, but you want to get those thoughts out, and being able to envision like, who do you want to be and what is the gap to you right now in that place. And I think that's a really cool, almost like journaling prompt you could do, like literally like brain dump it. And I think that's really freaking awesome. I love that.
I do another thing too. Sometimes you just gotta let it out, and you don't want to let it out in a burnt journal. You just want to let it out. And
Absolutely.
so cardio, running, playing music loud in the car, like just roll down your windows and just like play the song and let yourself cry or feel whatever it is. Scream
I
and
love
make
it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly,
When it's like nighttime driving and you're just like crying to this like not even sad song. It's like, why am I crying to this? But I just
one thing too, like some people like screaming honestly when no, like not in the middle of the grocery store, but like like in a place, I don't know, if you need to just let it out and scream. And sometimes I'll go to a park with grass that's like nice to lay in, and I'll just lay on my back and just breathe with the world. And like let my hands just feel the grass. And then in that moment you realize that you're actually not as alone as you think, because you are outside. There's a world full of billions of people that are either going through the same thing, something very similar, that going through worse things. Like no one's ever alone.
No one's ever alone. That's important to know, because when you're going through it, you feel so alone. Like you're like, nobody else is feeling this shitty. Nobody else is having this struggle. And it's like, there are hundreds of millions of people that are going through it with you, which sucks that all of us are going through it, but we're all going through our own stuff. And I think you gotta find how to cope with it and deal with it.
Because like, so I've had this a lot lately. You look in the mirror and you're like, oh my gosh, is this it? Is this where the peak of my career, peak of whatever goes? Like, is this the peak of my life? It's like, wait a sec. You wake up the next day and then something happens. Someone says, oh, hey, like, listen to your podcast, or I see you at the gym. It's really inspiring. And that one comment switches your mind around to be like, oh wait, actually this is just the beginning. And it's just small things. Number one, always tell someone something, compliment them, tell them something that they can just never hold it back. Number two is that it might feel like the end of the world today, but tomorrow's a brand new day.
Yeah, no, that's freaking beautiful.
Very well said.
I love that. I love it. Very cool. So I love the perspective we've been able to get from you about your growing up, your history there, your eating disorder, and your business growth and mental health. I think one thing many listeners are probably curious about, when is Dee getting on stage? Is she getting on
You're
stage?
so sweet.
What's the deal with bodybuilding right now?
Yeah. So to be honest, after my last competition, man, I actually probably like 2 weeks ago was the last time I cried about my last show. Yeah, I was on the phone with my parents, and they asked me the same thing, like what, um, and I am super embarrassed by my last show, just because I thought, like, I've done 13 shows, and to me,
Yeah.
I've tried for, I know I'm so young, like I've had this talk to myself, like I got years, but it feels like you just try, and like this one was like a very far no.
Yeah.
I mean, along with other life changes that went on in the same time that were unfortunate, I just felt like, man, like all this change happened and I lost, and now what? And so I questioned, I thought maybe that was a sign that bodybuilding just isn't for me anymore. And like that was the universe, whoever's got a way of telling me move on.
Sure.
But if you have passion for something, it doesn't matter if you want to lose, you just want to do it, right? So this right now, I don't want to compete this year. For first reason is because I am in a very, this is the first time in my life where I really need to find myself. And it's not like I'm not lost at any means, but with recent changes in my life, want to, like, for example, I'm now making friends.
Yes.
I never had that. Like in 4 years, like, yeah. So who is Dee? I want to find her throughout this year. And I know that I am on my way to do so. I want to compete next year.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to go pro. Like that's always been my goal. And I know that I feel very discouraged within bodybuilding, but that doesn't mean the passion and love isn't there. It's just like sometimes things take a longer to achieve. I don't, for me, I want to make sure that I can find the love for bodybuilding, but I have the love. I want to be able to live by it before I actually start a prep. And I love the sport. I just don't want to compete right now. But I would like to know that I achieved my goal at some point.
Yeah.
I think it's really good that you're taking that time to like really find yourself. And like, I feel like a year now until whenever the competition is, I don't know what it is, but that I think that gives you a really like good time period to like, okay, this is what my focus is on now. And it doesn't have to be 6,000 things. Like, yeah, you have work and all these things, but this is what you want. And this is what you're focused on. And this is what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
It's like that milestone, and you want to hit that milestone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will be that pro card. You know what I mean?
Mhm. I think
I also want to, I don't like never say never competing. I don't know if like I can't give a definite yes, I'm going to, but I would like to. And it's since I'm embarrassed and nobody cares. Everyone's so selfish. People don't remember what I placed or if I've competed. And I know it's with myself. So at the end of the day, it's like I want to teach myself that I can feel discouraged and embarrassed for a extended period of time with a goal that I wanted to achieve for the longest period of time. But still,
I hear that. I relate to that a lot because when I was doing really well and competing back in like 2019, I won a show and then I got like second at another big show and then I did nationals, got my ass kicked, and that hurt. Like I was like, oh crap, like I just came off like a major winning streak and I was like, my friends placed higher than me and like here I am on this team. I'm recently brought on as a coach and I just felt so embarrassed. Like I feel like I let the team down when I didn't do my thing. And then I took the long off seasons. I did the preps after that. And I knew the last season I did, something just felt wrong. Like I didn't feel aligned with it anymore. I'm like, this isn't as fun as it used to be for me because my passion lies in the coaching aspect. Like I know, and like this is where D and I are very different. Like D is 22. I am 27, going to be 28 this year. For me to continue to pursue bodybuilding at this point, it would start messing with some of my future goals, like when I want to have children potentially. Like it's past my window for me personally, I think. And I'm not aligned with it anymore, and that's okay. Whereas D, she's a bit younger and she has a real future in the sport, and if she sticks with it, if it's something that she feels aligned with, that pro card is just a matter of time for you. Whereas, and I think it's good that you're taking some time off to really figure out, like, is competing still something that you really want to pursue? You're still living a lot of the lifestyle. You're still training. You're still fueling your body, but you're also working on your mental health during this time. And it's like, you can grow so much mentally and physically, but like mentally so much in a year from now. And you can kind of make that decision in a year from now. And I'm glad that you're not putting pressure on yourself to make that decision today or announce that decision today. And just kind of figure out what is going to serve D best and what makes D happy at the end of the day.
So I do another to add on top of that. I've done this in the past, but I know a lot of people that jump to a prep every time life's hard. Every time life's hard, like you jump in, you let it go. And it's like that's an escape from your problems. And it's just I mean, you can look at it on the outside and say that's way healthier than alcohol on the weekends, but is it? Because you still deal with the same thing. So that's another thing. Like I'm not competing this year because I have a lot of other stuff that I need to figure out. And that's just like why, again, sit and figure out who you are, what you want. But like for yourself, like I've always, like, you're a star with coaching. Like the way that you pour into people. Yeah. So it's just amazing that you can say yes to what you want and just push forward.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And, it's like I'm still involved in the sport just from like the other side, and like that's a cool place to be. And I feel as though with bodybuilding, the stage will always be there. So you can take your time making that decision. But I appreciate you sharing that update with us because I know people are curious, like when's D competing? So I think that's freaking awesome. But we have some rapid fire questions for you. Let's have some fun. Let's lighten this up a little bit. Hey, fire them off.
All right, let me start with the first one.
Rapid fire.
So, what is your favorite like self-care thing? I know me and Kelly talked about it on the podcast, like ours is like a night routine or like a spa night. What's your go-to like wind down?
Well, I would tell you first, this is how I answer questions. I answer it after I answer something else that's not asked. Yeah. So nighttime routine is my favorite thing in the world because it sets you up for the next day. Like that is like the sacred grace. When I'm planning my day out, I plan the night out first and then the next day. So it's like, that is, yeah. I have two. I'm gonna give you two. Number one is watching the sunset, just being outside. Like I have to be outside when the sun sets, or else I'm like, it's just I'm mad. Not like forcefully, but yeah. So I have to be outside for the sun to set, or for the sunset. I have to be outside for the sun in order for it to set. But yeah,
I need to be outside.
it's amazing. Another two things that I love to do is dancing in front of the mirror when I wake up. I think that, like with the song, I think that for me that's super healthy. But I also like to open the balcony door or just have some air. Like smelling fresh air. That's a need. So that was three, but those are mandatory no matter what. Like I need those three things in order to feel like my best self.
I love that. I love that so much. Okay, next question. What is your favorite thing to listen to when you're working out? Do you listen to songs? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you have a favorite song?
I listen to nothing. That's my favorite thing to do is listen to nothing. Yeah.
That's honestly.
I like to listen to other people's conversations sometimes.
It's like I eavesdrop.
I'm in the same boat. I'll bring the headphones. They won't have anything playing in them.
That's where we're all very different because I need music. If I don't have music, it throws my entire session off. Like I need to get my brain, it just never stops. So when I have music in, I'm like, okay, focus on the music, focus on the music. And like I can just get into the zone. When like my headphones die and I'm at the gym or something, it's like, oh, of course, freaking dead. So that's
I mean, there's sometimes where I play a podcast or I do music, but if there's 7 days in a week, one is music, one is podcast, and the other is just nothing.
Question for you. This is really interesting. Do you feel when you do no music with training, it's like a therapeutic experience for you? What kind of helps you determine when you do a silent training session?
Yeah. So it really depends on where my mind is at. And in this period of like life, I enjoy silence.
Okay.
I mean, there's music in the gym. It's not, so there's background music, but I don't always like to listen to songs simply because of the way it can make you feel. And not that it's a sad or like Sam Smith song during like your training. It's just like, if I'm already feeling really good, I know that music is going to put me in whatever mood that it's going to put me in. If I'm feeling good, I don't want to deter that. So I just listen to nothing. And I also think it's like therapeutic to do that. I enjoy, like, even on walks, I'll play podcasts sometimes, but I enjoy just sounds, like what's going on in the present universe right now. I think that's super therapeutic. I do have headphones on just because I think headphones are so comfortable. I love the way they feel. They just squish your ear.
It's the
Sensory.
it's sensory and it's
Sensory
like
thing.
what's the word I'm thinking of?
A hug.
It's like a hug
It's
for your
a
head.
hug,
It's
yeah.
it's a sensory thing. We all have it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always have headphones in, even if I'm not listening to things. I totally feel
Like
that.
the Beats one, just when they're over, it just feels so good. You just feel so comforted.
Yeah, I feel that.
That's a really good question. I like
So thanks. So the next one I'm gonna ask is favorite exercise. What's your favorite exercise to do? We can all share them.
Yeah, that'll be good.
okay, so I'm gonna be boring with this one. But I think it's my favorite just because I hip thrust like every female. But the way I do hip thrust isn't just like 12 to 15 reps. I just go until I can't anymore. And that if that means like 5 rest pause sets in a row, I just pump it. And that's something that I don't program for anyone. It's just like for a lot of my training, I just pump, well, mostly glute training, I'll pump the muscle and I'll just go within the set until I like death sets. And that's fun for me because I know I'm progressing, but I prefer that type of training just for the sake of it makes me feel motivated. So I'd say hip thrusts or RDLs, barbell RDLs, only barbell.
I know I'm like really picky with my RDLs too because the barbell just feels so much better for me. I can keep it closer. It's just more natural. I think for me, favorite exercise would probably be RDL or leg press. I love pushing myself on leg press because it's pretty safe to do so. And so I will just go in there and like I'll program like a death set on a leg press for myself. And I'm like just dying on like 2 or 3 rest pause sets. Like it's the most brutal experience, but like you can just get so much intensity and it's obviously such a great compound movement. You can make it more glute focused. You can make it more quad focused. Nobody ever got smaller legs from doing a good leg press, right? So it's like, I love it for growth. I always program leg press, especially for people that can't do like spinal loaded movements. And my knees are starting to get bad, my left knee at least. So I feel like squats are a little bit more taxing on my knee than leg press. So I love it for that reason. So I'm gonna go with leg press. What about you, Kate?
So mine is deadlift because I felt like I was always the strongest doing that. I felt like I could have the most weight on it. And I just think it was like the one that I really liked doing.
Yeah.
So I just perfected the form of it.
Mhm.
This is when I was doing CrossFit and all these things.
Yeah.
That was my heaviest weight that I did. And we were doing this workout and one of my coaches came over, he's like, nice. And it just felt so good to be like, oh my God, like thanks.
Yeah. No.
Like thanks, I got a lot of weight on there.
Right. I'm a strong queen. A strong girl. Strong girly.
Yeah, I haven't done a deadlift except for sumo deadlift in so long.
It could be like just a fun personal challenge to like throw a conventional deadlift in there and be like, what can I
Yeah, right. Like, how
Oh, sorry.
much can I really lift up?
Mhm.
All right, last question of the day. What is your death row meal?
Yeah, so okay. This is
It's
okay,
a
you're gonna
hard
be like,
question. It's
I
a hard.
know. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm creating a meal. This is what it is.
Okay.
It's gonna be a whole buffet. This is what it is. So appetizer is gonna be 2 sliders, like thicker burger bun. Then for the actual meal, it's going to be a red and cheesy sauce pasta with ribeye on top. Light pasta, like lighter with some like a good size like red meat, fries, and then um carrot cake on the side.
Carrot cake, interesting choice.
From True Loves. You'll have to when y'all come down here. Oh my gosh, I'm literally gonna change your life.
I love it. Let's have our lives change.
So
Be a carrot
excited.
cake. I
Yeah.
can't wait.
Carrot cake changed my life. True life, carrot cake changed my life.
True life, carrot cake.
What's y'all's?
What's yours? Go?
So I think this is so boring. I want to have pizza. I love pizza. I love it. I want a good pizza. Maybe a Bertucci's pizza or like someplace in like the North End's pizza. There was a place in South Boston.
Oh, Magoo's.
Magoo's. We went out. That was good. I need pizza.
You saying that is so funny because we had it at 3 a.m. So it was
That is awesome. So that's how you know it's even better because when you're up that late, you know, like you've probably had a few drinks, and I'm assuming. Yeah, it tastes so much better.
Pizza, dude. I love pizza. It never gets old. Never gets old. It was a boring pizza.
Yeah.
All right. I also have a buffet. They're just gonna roll out. They're going straight from the mind to the mouth. So first up, Texas Roadhouse rolls with the cinnamon butter.
Yes.
That's one. Second, potato skins from the
99.
From the 99.
He doesn't know what the 99 is, but it's like a local.
Like a cheap restaurant that I used to work.
It was on a commercial for the
I was on a
99.
commercial.
Oh my gosh, okay, yeah, you need to, yeah, they should give you free
I'll
food.
send that to you. I'm there for like a second, but
It's so funny.
it's awesome.
Yeah, drop that link in the caption.
So those two were appetizers. Third one, I'd say pasta with, let me think, Alfredo, like a side of Alfredo. Like, I don't want it on it, but I want the choice to put it on.
Okay.
And I want the butter on the side and the cheese on the side, so I can do however much I want. An entire bottle of tequila. So
I was gonna say we forgot about the cocktails.
yeah, no,
Well,
the
if we're talking
cocktails are
cocktails. I'm with her.
yeah.
You said, forget the cocktail, I want the tequila.
Me and Kelly are splitting a bottle of Casamigos.
Casamigos.
That should be good. And then for dessert, I would say cookies and cream ice cream. Cannot go wrong with that.
Wow.
Soul Fire Flames.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh.
Well, we're gonna just try to get all those foods in the next couple weeks together. We dine out. Get all of our throw meals. I'm sure we can.
99 down in Texas.
Oh, well, when Dee comes here, we'll have to bring her to the good old 99.
Good old
It's like
nines.
it's good, but like it's not like a bougie
bar
restaurant.
food,
It's,
yeah.
but
Those are the funny, like those are fun places.
yeah, it'll be fun. We'll take you to the 99.
You're like, oh, this.
The 99s is nothing specialty. Don't you worry.
Yeah, don't get your hopes up.
Don't worry, I grew up on like not special food, so it's like, yeah, it's gonna, honestly, when people take me out and they take me to a nice place, I'm like, it's amazing, like it tastes amazing. But I grew up on, you know, when you're a child and you grow up on certain food, so you crave that food forever.
Oh,
I grew up on like Las Palapas. I don't even know if y'all know what that is, but like it's like like not the higher, like I grew up on stuff that's very tasting, like, but I'm just like, this tastes so good.
right. No, I feel that. I totally get that. I know. I think, what was it? Maybe like one of my last visits, I don't know, Justin was like, if someone takes you out on a date to Cheesecake Factory, that's not a date. And I was like, what do you mean? Cheesecake Factory is amazing. I'm like, it's a great place. It's a great dining establishment.
There's
I
so
will be
many
there.
options
You
there.
want to
I'm
know something?
I would rather that. Yeah. What
Okay,
is
this
it?
is an LOL. What do they say in the Drake song when it's like, take her to cheesecake? What is it?
Why you gotta fight with me at Cheesecake? You know I love to go there.
Okay, so my situationship when I was 15, so it wasn't a big deal. He got with my best friend Yeah. And he took her to cheesecake. And I was like, I didn't even get taken on a date in my 2.5 years.
Oh, rude.
That is
Yeah.
so rude.
But and I did, yeah, but cheesecake, I mean, that's just an LOL because it's like I'm sure every girl listening onto like so one of them is gonna be like, yeah, I had the same issue. But cheesecake is so good.
Oh, Cheesecake Factory. Always hit. Always freaking.
I know, but then I get too full from like the dinner and I'm like, I can't have
Then you can't
cheesecake
have
now. I'm
yeah,
like,
gotta
I
take it home.
cannot force it
Gotta
down.
take it home, split it,
Yeah.
don't get the tummy ache.
Oh,
Yeah.
Intuitive
best.
freaking love that.
Save
See,
it for later.
thank you for coming on and spending time with us today. We really appreciate you. I know you're very busy, so thank you for making time for this, and we can't wait to see you in just a few weeks.
I appreciate y'all having me on. This was so fun. And I adore both of you. Y'all are like seriously some of the most special humans that the world could have. So I'm so glad that y'all had me and I can't wait to see you both and just spend time with y'all.
I know, it's
We freaking
exciting.
love you. Thank you so much. You're the best. And we will definitely have you back on. And we're excited for our little retreat. So, anyone listening that is part of TM or wants to become part of TM, we're having a retreat here May 24th. Let me calendar.
24th
Let's
to the
plug
26th.
that. 24th to the 26th. So the TM retreat is May 24th to the 26th in Austin, Texas. You can find information for this on the TM Instagram and the TM Facebook, or you can just message us and we would be happy to chat with you there. But we will hopefully see some of you guys, and we're excited for our next episode next week. And yeah, just if you want to follow Dee, we're going to include all of her things if you're not already following her. So you can get in contact with her if you're interested in coaching with Dee. We'll also put her application here in the bio. And feel free to reach out to her. But thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Y'all are amazing. Y'all are gonna come on my podcast next. So
Yeah,
I'm so
can't wait.
excited.
It'll be so fun.
yes.
Alrighty.